What's going on, guys? This is Justin coming at you with UFC 141 predictions. UFC 141 is Lesnar versus Overeem. It'll be held Friday, which is interesting, December 30th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Um, Interesting main card on this one. Kind of some odd matchups on there. But we will start off with the championship bout. We have Brock Lesnar versus Alistar Overeem. Uh, Brock Lesnar hasn't fought in a while. He's coming back from surgery. Alistar has won 7 in a row, and this is his entrance to the UFC. I think this will be a very interesting fight. But if Brock is fully healthy, I'm actually going to pick him to win this fight. I know Alistar is the big guy, likes to knock people out. He has some submission game as well. But I just think that Brock's wrestling is gonna take it in this fight. He's gonna wrestle him down. Granted, he's fully healthy and can get those bursts out. Put him to the ground and kind of do the the Lesnar or the Roy Nelson crucifix, which they like to do, and just beat him until the ref stops him. So I will be taking Brock Lesnar to win this fight by KO, I'm going to say, because I highly doubt this one goes to decision either way. Moving on, in the lightweight bout, we have Nate Diaz versus Donald Cerrone. This is going to be a pretty good fight, I think. Nate Diaz has had a kind of a rough streak. He's lost 2 of his last 3. He just won his last one over Takanori Gomi at UFC 135. While Donald Cerrone's been on, I don't want to call it a roll. He's won 6 in a row after losing to Benson Henderson for the WEC championship. I think it is an upset because I think Nate Diaz is favored to win this fight. But I'm going to go ahead and take Donald Cerrone to win this fight by submission. Just Nate Diaz has had, some problems. I don't know what it is. But, he started out really strong, and then he's kind of had an up and down. He had that loss to Clay Guida, lost to Joe Stevenson, lost to Gray Maynard. I think he's lost 4 of his last 8, I think. So he's gone 4-4 in his past 8 fights, and that's just, not cutting it in the UFC. You hear Nate Diaz and you hear, oh, big name. But don't mix it up for Nick Diaz, bigger name. But yes, they are brothers. But I am going to take Donald Cerrone to win that fight. I'm going to take him by submission to win. So moving on, we have John Fitch versus Johnny Hendricks in the welterweight division. Kind of the same scenario with John Fitch. Don't want to call it a roll because he has won 6 in a row. Well, he's won 5 in a row, and then he had that draw against BJ Penn. But those 5 wins in a row were all by decision. Granted, they were all unanimous, but, when you win 5 in a row by decision, it's kind of, eh. He lost to GSP for the welterweight championship, and then he's won 5 in a row. And he still hasn't got a title shot. That should tell you something about how Dana White sees his wins in the UFC. He will be facing Johnny Hendricks, who is 11-1. What did he do? He entered the UFC at UFC 101, so actually a decent while ago. He won 4 in a row, looks like, and then he lost to Rick Story. Who did I take? I am taking John Fitch to win this one. Hate to say it, but I think it's going to be by decision. Hopefully John Fitch gets a knockout or a submission, and I think it's kind of gonna be kind of hard to deny him, retake the title after that. 1 5 in a row, you get a draw with BJ Penn, and then you get another win by knockout or submission. I think you got to give him a title shot after that. I know there's a lot of people in that division, pretty stacked division, but I think you got to do it. Moving on to the light heavyweight bout, we have Vladimir Machenko against Alexander Gustafsson. Vladimir has won 2 in a row after his loss to John Jones, which everybody's lost to John Jones. Don't feel bad about it. He's beat Alexandre Ferreira and Jason Brills. And Alexander Gustafsson is 12-1. His only loss is to Phil Davis. He recently beat Matt Hamill at UFC 133. I am going to take Vladimir Machenko to win this one by knockout. You know, he just has so many bigger names on his resume. You know, he's fought in those pressure fights. He's fought big names like Jason Brills, John Jones, Rogerio Nogueira. You know, I mean, he's fought those big names in the UFC under the spotlights. You know, Tito Ortiz. I can keep naming names. But, you know, I just think experience is going to shine. And Vladimir Machenko is going to win this one by knockout. Moving on, the final fight on the main card is a featherweight bout. We have Nam Phan against Jimmy Hedges. I actually had to look Jimmy Hedges up because, to be honest, I didn't know who Jimmy Hedges was. Nam Phan, tough couple fights. You know, I don't really know how he's making it onto the main card. Just some stats for you here. He has lost 4 of his last 6 fights. And, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In his last 12 fights, he's only won 5. So he's 5-7 in his last 12. You know, not very impressive. He did just beat Leonard Garcia by unanimous decision at 136. But, you know, since entering the UFC from the Ultimate Fighter, he lost to Leonard Garcia in the finale. Lost to Mike Brown at 133 and then beat Leonard Garcia. I am going to be taking Nam Phan to win this one over Jim Hedges. You know, Jim Hedges, I looked him up. He's 9-0, and all of his wins are finishes, and all of his wins are by submissions. I believe I did see his fight against Alec Caceres at UFC Live, Hardy versus Lytle. I think I did see that because I remember them mentioning that he's won 8 in a row, all by submissions. You know, so it's pretty crazy that he has. But I just think that you know, Nam Phan's gonna take this one. You know, he came back, he beat Leonard Garcia. I think it's gonna be a good fight, but as long as Nam Phan doesn't get caught, I think he will beat Jim Hedges by knockout. So those are my predictions for UFC 141, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my UFC 140 recap. Peace out.